Okay, we have an update on Illuminati court documents. This is really exciting. There were a few channels that made videos on this, but I actually trust Mad Catster because I think he makes it really easy to understand all the legalese and for us normal people. So I'm going to go over his video.
Hey there, I'm the Mad Catster. Am I glad to see you here?
I'm really excited.
Well, we have some updates in the Illuminati versus Oz lawsuit.
There's
a motion to dismiss that was heard. There's a response. And there's an interesting decision from the judge. We're going to talk about it. You know me, I've got the deets and all the receipts, so buckle up and let's go.
Cool.
Welcome, and I just want to give you a brief explanation of why I haven't uploaded a video in 2 weeks. For the last 2 weeks, I've literally been in court every single day. And
so just busy?
Driving for hours at a time. I have been exhausted, and Sybil is upstairs. Cedric is here with me. Sybil's feeling fine too. She's actually still doing good. She's just, I think, tired, and she's in bed, and I tried to get her to come down.
Oh, okay, that's good.
In a while. At the end of the video, I'll be thanking a bunch of people for Amazon, so stay tuned for that. So let's talk about what's happened in the Illuminati lawsuit since the complaint was filed, or actually the amended complaint, by Blair against Oz Media and Wonderstruck and Felix the Kit Kat. So Oz filed a motion to dismiss.
All of them?
Seeking to dismiss.
Sorry, I was staring at the cat.
So let's talk about what's happened in the Illuminati lawsuit since the complaint was filed, or actually the amended complaint, by Blair against Oz Media and Wonderstruck. And Felix
so
the
it
Kit
is
Kat.
it is against all of them.
Oz filed a motion to dismiss, seeking to dismiss the complaint, saying that, you know, basically it's baseless. We're going to review the motion to dismiss right now, and just so you know, we're not going to cover like all of the legal argument part of it. We're just going to really go over like the facts that they state of why this should be thrown out, and then we'll look at Blair's response, and a little bit after that we've got the judge's interesting decision. So let's get going. So here's motion to dismiss, and this is filed by Oz's attorneys, and it says plaintiff's complaint fails to articulate the alleged defamatory statements made, precluding any finding that such statements are plausibly provably false or defamatory. The amended complaint further fails to identify any confidential or proprietary information that was misused by a defendant and is therefore similarly defective. Plaintiff's entire amended complaint should be dismissed for failure to state a claim upon which relief may be granted.
Okay. That's just a few sentences that say a lot.
Motion where you say there's no claim here that she can succeed on, she can get relief for, so therefore the whole complaint should just be thrown out. And here is why they say that her complaint is so deficient. It says plaintiff's amended complaint. Plaintiff's amended complaint alleges a hodgepodge of jumbled facts relating to a personal and business relationship with defendant Oz. Many of the alleged facts in the amended complaint appear to be irrelevant to the defamation and breach of contract claims. And
I just think that's so funny, especially because it's towards her. It's like, yeah, I guess that's a good word.
Read through the complaint, it just seems bizarre to me how she's dragging personal stuff into like this business, quasi-business lawsuit. The claims that are asserted are sparse and are not pled with sufficient factual information to constitute plausible claims for defamation per se or defamation per quad. Those are legal terms. We're not even going to get into that, but basically they're saying that she doesn't have any claim for defamation based on what she's alleging against defendant Oz by either plaintiff being Blair on the one hand and her company Pyramid. They're the two plaintiffs in this case. Defendant's counsel previously met and
okay, see, I'm really slow on this. Okay, so she's using her company as well, like trying to sue these people.
Further counsel for plaintiffs regarding these defects, and that's a standard thing. Like when you file a motion, usually you will have a conference with the other side to see if maybe you can work out the differences to avoid the motion having to go forward or getting, you know, the other party to assent to the motion so it doesn't have to be argued. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. Obviously, in this case, I would have been shocked if they had come to some kind of agreement.
Yeah.
And it says, encouraging plaintiffs to amend the complaint to make these matters plain and identify the statements plaintiffs claim are defamatory and the confidential or proprietary information plaintiffs contend defendant misused. Rather than supply facts, plaintiff's amended complaint continues to merely assert threadbare legal conclusions and attempts but fails to plead per se and per quad defamation in the alternative. And then they now are going to sort of go over why her complaint is just so lacking. With regard to Plaintiff Blair's claims against
I have a feeling they're going to destroy her in this.
Oz, the amended complaint alleges that the parties were involved in a romantic relationship and lived together at various times in Oz's home. Blair alleges that the romantic relationship ended and that she moved out of Oz's home in December 2021. Claiming that she and Oz were still good friends, Blair moved back into Oz's home in August of 2022 while her new home was under construction. Blair alleges she began seeing a new person romantically over the Christmas and New Year's holiday, presumably in 2022. The amended complaint alleges that Oz contacted an employee of Blair's in January 2023, telling the employee that Blair had cheated on him, and that Oz further texted co-defendant blank that Blair screwed him over. The amended complaint further alleges that Oz published a series of tweets falsely claiming that Blair had abused him. Finally, the amended complaint alleges published and/or appeared in videos that included false allegations of theft. None of the alleged statements by Oz are set forth verbatim in the amended complaint, nor attached to it as an exhibit. And we talked about that. She has all these basically broad and vague
statements,
allegations of defamation, but nowhere does she have a single specific instance, a date or an exact quote or anything to support her allegations.
That's so weird because defamation is so hard anyways. I think she's just trying to mess with him. Like,
it's ridiculous. None of the alleged statements by Oz regarding Blair are plausibly defamatory. The amended complaint is so lacking in essential details, including exactly what and in what context Oz said anything, that it fails to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Further, none of the vaguely described statements alleged in the amended complaint pertain to Plaintiff Pyramid Entertainment LLC, and as such, it cannot state a claim for defamation against Oz.
So she was just talking about how he was being rude to her and didn't mention the company at all.
In other words, what they're saying is everything she's alleged that he said, it's basically to deal with her. It has nothing to do with her company. And that's also like with the breach of contract claims. It's kind of bizarre to me and ridiculous that how are they breaching contract when all of this stuff that's been discussed so far is all personal stuff.
Yeah.
It's not business related other than they're alleging that Oz contacted one of Blair's employees. Other than that, there's nothing business related in what she's claimed.
Right. Like, you're not allowed to speak. Like, what did that ruin? I mean, you would have to prove that it, I believe, I am not a legal person, but you would have to prove that it ruined your company somehow, or and that it was a complete lie and you lost money, basically, right? I mean, I think she's just playing games.
Plaintiff's amended complaint and each purported cause of action therein should be dismissed for failure to plead claims for which relief may be granted. And then, the legal argument goes on, and I'm not going to go through all that because I don't think we really need to cover that. We're getting the gist of what their argument is that basically she's providing no detail, and so the court should dismiss her complaint. They also included this section, which I agree with, because now remember, she had filed a complaint, then she filed an amended complaint, and that's what we had discussed was the amended complaint.
Okay.
They're asking the court
what did they change?
Further leave to amend should be denied. They're saying, don't give her another chance to revise her complaint because she's already had 2 shots at it. If she can't get it right after the second one, the amended complaint, then why should she continue to get chances? It's like, what are we going to do? Keep letting her try until she finally gets to where it might be something that the court could act on? That's kind of unfair to us.
It's like learning.
She's the one filing the lawsuit. She should have her stuff together and her facts together, and she should have alleged all of that with specificity when she first filed her complaint. And they say plaintiffs have already amended their complaint and should not be granted further leave to amend, whereas here they have and continue to fail to plead plausible claims based on facts rather than threadbare legal conclusions. And they say, wherefore, Oz praised the court dismissed plaintiff's amended complaint for failure to set forth any cause of action for which relief may be granted. I totally agree with that. And in my opinion, when the judge read that, And we'll talk about her response in a second.
I was about to say, what happened?
After
What
reading
happened?
everything, if I had been the judge, I would have dismissed it. I would have said, this is nonsense. You have not provided any foundation to bring this complaint. You haven't given the court anything that could remotely prove your case. And the time to make your argument is when you file your complaint. It's not all the evidence that you present. You know, you obviously, when you get to court, you're going to have exhibits and other evidence, and people are going to get deposed. But you need to have the facts set out. You can't just say, he said something bad about me and file a complaint in court. You've got to say when, what, where, you know, give specifics of why it entitles you to relief. So let's look at her response. So here, her response.
This is so
says,
funny. I can't believe she did
Defendant
this.
Oz's motion to dismiss. Plaintiffs Pyramid Entertainment and Blair, by and through their undersigned counsel, hereby submit the following response to Defendant Oz's motion to dismiss as follows. Legal authority under the standard of dismissal for failure to state a claim. The court accepts every factual allegation in the plaintiff's complaint as true and views the facts in light most favorable to the plaintiff. And that's correct. And that's pretty uniform.
Oh, okay.
Not just in Colorado and like
the cat.
all the states where I practice. That's the way the court looks at it. And, you know, obviously it's different case law that's gotten to that conclusion. But basically what it says is you give the benefit of the doubt to the plaintiff and let them have the opportunity to argue their complaint and make their case in court, and then let either the judge or the jury decide whether or not they've proven their case. Well, the reason why Oz is filing this motion, what they're saying is
there is nothing that she gave.
Facts in Blair's complaint are so vague and without specificity that really they're not facts. They're just vague assertions, really.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip like the whole argument section. I'm going to just...
You know what I'm getting the feeling of? That she did this herself. She looked up how to make a complaint, just any random, and found any random description of how to do it and made it herself. What do you think? Or use ChatGPT or something?
Section here is that they're talking about. It says here, plaintiffs allege, not limited to the following. I've redacted not just names, but there's a couple of words in here that I redacted, like the R word. I don't want YouTube to flag the video, so here plaintiffs allege, not limited to the following.
Where does
On or
that
about
come
January 4th,
in?
2023, Defendant Oz contacted Blair's employee and told the employee that Blair cheated on him, despite Oz's and Blair's romantic relationship ending in December of 2021.
How is that an argument for anything, right? How is that an argument for any of this? Who cares? Is that supposed to be like, I don't understand what that means.
In or around the latter part of April of 2023, Defendant Oz published a series of Twitter, now X posts, falsely claiming that Blair had abused him. Okay.
Did he use that word? I mean, I don't know. I haven't gone through his tweets, but that's a pretty specific thing to say.
That's something that you would need to prove in court. There's a whole lot of things to be considered. So, okay, so that's one thing. But again, the problem is they don't say exactly what he said. They just say that he made allegations or he made posts claiming falsely. They don't say what he said. What did he say that you're saying is false? You've got to tell the court what you're talking about. The court's
why you
not
need a
gonna
case.
read her mind or his mind and figure this out. You've got to tell the court up front exactly what it is that you're basing your claim on. After Oz made these false Twitter X accusations, Blair began receiving death and R threats from third parties through Twitter, Discord, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and email. Blair made her first call to the police in this regard on or around April 23rd. Now, okay.
You would have to, okay, I am not a legal person. I keep saying that. Wouldn't you have to prove that that was directly caused by Oz? I mean, you're already a public figure. So how do we know that it was because of him?
Why did she call the police? Okay, she called the police what? To say, people are saying bad things about me on Twitter? You know, why did she feel the need to call the police? They don't say. They don't say anything. They don't get into any details. You know, this is one of the worst cases of vague complaints that I've ever seen.
It still is given the feeling of representing yourself. You know, not hiring an actual lawyer or something.
On July 25th, 2023, a defamatory video titled The Fall of Blair, YouTube's biggest bully, was posted about plaintiffs. This video was published by Madison. In that video, defendants speak publicly about their intent to publish another defamatory video about Blair and Pyramid. Again, we talked about this when we talked about the complaint. So what?
Intent?
They appeared, there's a clip of them in somebody else's video saying that they are going to reveal more information about how they believe she negatively impacted their lives. Okay. So
is it even defamatory if you say I believe, or like I think it's possible, you know?
What? You can't sue for something that you think might happen in the future.
Right.
You've got to sue for something that's happened already, because you're not damaged if it hasn't happened yet. On or about September 16, 2023, Oz released a video titled Let's Talk, an update on Illuminati drama. In this publication, defendant speaks to how he believes, and that's an important point. Defendant speaks to how he believes the video will be used in the courtroom.
Yes, I got it right.
False allegations of theft and abuse. Well, I didn't hear him allege anything about theft. I can't recall anything like that.
Theft. No, not specifically theft. It was more like coercion into using your credit and spending money, but that's not theft. He wasn't saying theft.
How she made him feel, or how he thinks she coerced him. That's his experience. That's his experience. He's not just making something up about her.
I'm getting it.
He's talking about his real life experience with her. That's his opinion. So I don't think, even if there had been specifics here, that rises to the level of defamation. The allegations referenced above and pleaded in the amended complaint falsely allege that plaintiff Blair committed a criminal offense and misconduct. These false allegations have severely impacted plaintiffs' reputations in the YouTube community. Plaintiffs were well-respected documentarians.
It's a fancy
reputation
word.
Which is waning. Yeah. Yes, but not just because of this.
There's a lot.
Basically, she's been ripped apart by people all across the media. A reputation which is waning, if not all but destroyed, due to defendant Oz's actions. Well, I think that's going to be a little hard to prove that he single-handedly damaged her brand. And again,
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly how? You know, what did he say? What's the damage? Blair will be able to establish at trial that she has lost thousands of followers.
Also, it would have to be proven that it was not true. None of it was true. None of his claims are true. Like, I just have a feeling this is not a cheap case. This isn't an easy case. There's no way that she would be able to go fully through with this. I mean, come on. It sounds like a giant case.
Again, this isn't all on Oz. She's been vilified everywhere. I think that collectively that may have impacted her YouTube channel. But I don't think this is all down to that one video that he put out, where he really didn't say a whole lot, I don't think, that was specific that really hammered at her. It sounds like he's really holding back. So
yeah, actually. And also, she just had drama with other people. What about the legal eagle? I bet you she won't go after him. He would probably enjoy it. It'd probably make great content.
And says that due to his actions, this has caused losses of substantial revenues. Again, no quantification. If the defamatory statements are on their face, unmistakably recognized as injurious and specifically directed at plaintiffs, the defamation per se claim is actionable without proof of monetary damages.
Oh man, Oz should have called the legal eagle for this to get him to represent Oz, and oh, that would be so cool. It's just so entertaining.
So they're saying some
I know it's real life.
I don't know, because I don't know.
And I hope the best for Oz. I think it's going to be okay for him.
You know, whether the court decides what the damages are, but she certainly can't just say she's lost thousands of dollars. She's got to at least
just that. Wait, okay, you're saying thousands. That could mean a lot. Is it 2,000 or is it 99,000?
Something, because the court's not going to be able to just pull a number out of the air. They have to base their ruling and their award to her, if she were to win, on something. You know, they're not just going to pull a number out of the air. And she says, if the defamatory statements on their face unmistakably are recognized as injurious, Well, first of all, they weren't directed at her company, number one. So, again, I think that really
Okay.
supports the argument of why is Pyramid Entertainment even involved in this?
I guess it's because that's where she gets her income, possibly. Like technically, maybe they're the ones. It's her company, but they pay her, so that's where I guess.
This has nothing to do with that. Them as a plaintiff. The court should throw them off the complaint, even if this does go forward. He's trying to relate, in response, mind you, to the actions she took. She's not some little wilting flower that's just being attacked on all sides.
Right.
She's been quite the bitch. And she's really been vindictive toward Oz, going after his house, trying to hurt Wonder. You know, she's showing a pattern
multiple
of really
people
bad conduct towards people she allegedly cared about. So him explaining how that made him feel, I don't think it's going to be found to be defamatory. And I won't go through like all the case law and everything again. What we really need to just look at is what each side is arguing as to why it should be dismissed and why it shouldn't be dismissed. And the case law is really for the court to make an analysis. What is she asking the court? Well, in addition to them not granting the motion to dismiss, she says, wherefore plaintiff respectfully requests the court deny defendant's motion to dismiss, or in the alternative, to allow plaintiffs the opportunity to amend their complaint. So they want to now, they're going to provide.
It just sounds so creepy. It's like she's trying to figure out the bet, like, okay, she failed. Now she's going to learn more and do put more in the documents that'll get her further. And it's kind of creepy.
Find the information.
She just keeps trying to.
Why didn't they do that the first two times?
Sneak her way through it.
Why do they get a third opportunity? Yeah. To me, that would be incredibly lenient on the court's part. So let's find out now. Oz filed a reply to this, and then we'll look at the judge's decision, which I don't really completely agree with, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So here is Oz's reply to that opposition to his motion to dismiss. And it's short. Defendant Oz reply in support of motion to dismiss. Okay, so he's basically rebutting what she's using in her opposition. Defendant Oz, by and through counsel, replies in support of his motion to dismiss the amended complaint. Plaintiff's response to the motion to dismiss cites outdated case law. They're saying that the case law that she's citing is outdated. So when you...
Again, did she represent herself? Did she Google how to make this document and just start typing it up?
Court, where you're citing what we call precedent, you need to be sure that the case law from the court's decisions that you're using is still up to date. Because in our judiciary, the law evolves. We have what's called the common law system. So, you know, there are statutes on the books, but then there's basically the law, which is the court interpreting statutes and other aspects of our governance. In our evolving judicial system, case law changes, and it can change the way courts interpret certain laws.
I totally get this because working with, like, in finance, things change. Like every single year, things will change, and you have to update the way you do things. So this makes sense to me.
They're saying
completely
that the case law that Blair cites to in her opposition is out of date, meaning that it's no longer relevant because the court's made rulings since that basically make it irrelevant.
And that's not a good look
for her attorneys.
Absolutely not. Does she really have attorneys who aren't keeping up with current laws and current ways of doing things? That's so bad.
What they're saying is what she's using predates. There's this, I guess, this Colorado Supreme Court decision, which basically negates the decision or the interpretation that she used, that she cited to in her opposition. Plaintiff's response to the motion cites outdated case law authorities predating the Colorado Supreme Court's Warren versus Hall re-articulation of pleading standards, requiring a plausible claim for relief based on facts rather than bald legal conclusions. Plaintiffs cite Warren, so they did cite to this Supreme Court decision, but they failed to address or recognize its central holding, meaning basically the crux of the decision, what it basically says when you put it into a nutshell. Okay, they're saying that although she talked about part of what the court discussed, they didn't really include the ultimate conclusion that the court came to. And they're saying that She continues to fail or refuse to plead any actual words written or spoken by defendant Oz, but merely set forth legal conclusions that unidentified words were defamatory.
They're being as sassy as possible on a legal document.
Warren requires more. So this new decision or recent decision requires more. Rather than setting forth what plaintiffs contend defendant Oz actually said or wrote, plaintiff's response merely regurgitates vague allegations from their amended complaint, none of which on their face are defamatory or supported by any innuendo sufficient to set forth any claim of defamation as a matter of law. The court requires her to be specific. She hasn't been specific.
They just keep having to say that.
She hasn't met the standard she needs to meet to prove defamation, and the court should dismiss. And they go on to say further, rather than setting forth the words of defendant Oz, plaintiffs quote commentary by unidentified non-parties, what we were talking about, that appear to have been posted in response to a YouTube video. These are not the words of the defendant, and thus they cannot form the basis of a defamation claim against him.
Makes sense.
Correct. You cannot use things he didn't say and call it defamation. He didn't say it, so he didn't defame her.
It just sounds silly.
We talked about how
when you put it so easily, simply
might happen and call that defamatory because it hasn't happened. So you don't have anything to base that. Likewise, plaintiff's breach of contract claim based upon a purported misuse of trade secrets, which is absurd. We've talked about that. Is similarly defective. Plaintiffs have not set forth any facts sufficient to create a plausible claim that anything said or written by a defendant was an actual trade secret protected by any agreement. Plaintiffs have already amended their complaint once, but have refused to cure its defects. So they're basically saying she's not saying anything new to oppose him. She's just regurgitating what she's already said in her amended complaint. And then they're asking the court for a third chance to go back and amend the complaint. And they're saying that they've already had their chance to cure the defects and they didn't do it. So what did the court say? Well, let's take a look at the judge's interest.
You got me nervous.
Here's what the court did. Here's the court's order. They didn't decide the motion to dismiss.
Okay.
Rather, they only are addressing the issue of the amendment or possible amendment of the complaint. So there would be a second amendment. So it would be a second amended complaint. And this is what the court has to say.
Don't tell me.
The motion proposed order attached here too. Action taken. Before the court is defendant Oz motion to dismiss. I have reviewed the motion, the response, and the reply, and I am familiar with the case file and with applicable law. I also know
I'm trying not to read ahead.
I think it was Felix the Kit Kat, has more recently filed his own motion to dismiss. And he certainly, I think, we talked about it. I think he has a good case of why he should not even be in this. It appears to the court that the statements alleged to have been made by the defendants that plaintiffs contend are defamatory have not been pled with sufficient specificity for the court to be able to review them and determine whether or not they are defamatory.
Great.
Okay, so you would think, based on that, the court would have just dismissed her complaint. And if she wants to refile it, as long as the court doesn't dismiss it with prejudice, she's free to file it again and try to come up with a better complaint. But instead, this is what the court did. Wherefore, it is ordered within 14 days, plaintiff may file a second amended complaint. All alleged defamatory statements by all defendants shall be set out verbatim, and the media containing these statements, that is, Twitter X threads, videos, and the like, shall be disclosed to the defendants. So in other words, they have to produce what specifically they're talking about. If the complaint is not so amended, the court will rule on the pending motions to dismiss. If the complaint is amended as set forth herein, that will moot the pending motions to dismiss by the defendants, and they may, if they wish, file motions to dismiss.
So we're just, going in a circle.
If they wish. Okay, first of all, I don't agree with this. I think she's had her chance. She's represented by counsel. She's not writing this.
I don't get it. Why would you be allowed to amend it again and then be allowed to file for dismissal? Like, yeah, I guess everybody needs their chance, but it's like, it really seems like you do it once, you get an amendment, you do it again, you don't do it correctly, that's it. Why are we wasting time here?
So, her
attorney she is represented by counsel.
To get the allegations set out properly. and they didn't do it. Now the court is being incredibly lenient, giving her a third chance to come up with the specifics. I don't agree with it, but, you know, it's the judge's decision. Everybody has to abide by it.
Yes.
So I know that Blair did file her second amended complaint. We'll address that in another video.
Oh, she did already.
Shortly. But
oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Tell me what you think down below. Do you agree with this?
No, it's dumb. What a waste of time and stress for Oz.
I think that she's getting an awful lot of leeway to set out details that are fundamental to her.
Why is that?
That she should have set out right from the beginning, and giving her now a third opportunity to try to come up with what she's talking about in specifics. Is ridiculous in my opinion. Let me know.
Just like with every amendment, you're giving them a chance to kind of like not perfect it. I'm not talking about the facts, but just perfecting their sneakiness with, like, if it's not necessarily honest, you know, that's what I think. But with someone like her, it's probably not totally honest. So it's not good.
What do you
but
think? Anyways, I'm going to thank a bunch of people from Amazon in a second. I want to thank
just 2 weeks.
All of our Patreon patrons, all of our channel members. We have some new Patreon patrons. Thank you guys so much. You guys help defer the monthly vet bills that I pay for the cats, including all of the care Sybil's getting and possibly what I might ask the vet to do depending on what her prognosis is after she's now been calmed down for a little while. I appreciate all of the support you guys have given me in the comments. I really, really appreciate it. Right now, we're going to thank a whole bunch of people from Amazon. So you guys, I've got a bunch more people to thank from Amazon, and Sybil did come down. So Sybil's making an appearance.
Oh,
Sybil Enforcer says, please like and subscribe.
They're so cute.
Pretty girl. Run away. So let me just say first, if I haven't thanked you for something, please let me know. It's not intentional. Sometimes the boxes arrive with literally no slips at all, just an item. And so I don't know who it's from. So if for some reason you haven't heard me thank you, please let me know and I will thank you properly. Okay, so let's get started. So we've got Johnny D, who sent us Rachel Ray, a nice big 14-pound bag of her grain-free food, which my cats really love. And we've got Morgan H, who sent us some Friskies canned cat food, a case of that.
That's so nice because this person has a lot of cats and kids. Like, even just with my one animal going to a vet, it's like really expensive. So yeah, I can definitely understand this.
We've got, again, from Morgan H, we've got some catnip toys, which the cats really love. From Morgan H, some more catnip toys. So thank you so much for those. And then from Alyssa M, we've got some crunchy cat treats, which the cats go through. We go through so many treats. Thank you so much for the treats. And from Pink Monkey Bird, we got some jumbo stuffed crunchy cat treats. Thank you so much for that. And also we got one of the nice cat beds for the cats. So thank you so much, Pink Monkey Bird, for that. Then we have again from Melissa M, we have some more cat treats. So thank you so much for that, Alyssa.
That's so nice.
And then from Morgan H, who has 8 cats of their own. So you know what it's like. We got some catnip toys, and they also sent us, we got a whole bunch of catnip toys from Morgan H. Thank you so much, Morgan. Sometimes the boxes just don't come with a slip, so I don't know who it's from. But thank you guys. All of your generosity, you guys, over the last couple of months has been amazing. The cats appreciate it. Sybil appreciates it. Oh God, I can't tell you
so cuddly
how good it is to have her eating and purring and not acting like she's in pain.
Aww.
So knock on wood, fingers crossed that the treatments that we're doing are going to help, because I want her to stick around. But thank you so much, you guys.
It's been a while, so that's good. I'm glad that's gotten better.
I'm going to do another video on the amended complaint that Blair filed in response to the judge's ruling. But until then, in the interim,
please
take care of yourselves, love one another, and I will see you in the next one.
A tea, please.
Oh yeah.
Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub.
Okay, anyways, that was such a good video. I love the way that he explains these documents. It's a lot easier to understand. Yeah, I will leave it in the description if you want to go see it for yourself and look closer at those documents. Subscribe to Matt Catster, actually. I really like this channel. And go give it a like, give it some love. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.